And on the last beat of my heart, my spirit left my body, and I went up the roof of the garage. I'm up 14, 15, 16 feet, and the very first thing that completely overtaken by peace. The second my spirit left, the second my heart stopped, it was all like the last beat and my spirit left, and I'm like I said, 14, 15, 16 feet inside the garage, but all the way up into the roof. And this incredible peace that doesn't even make sense takes over. And I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it to people, so I always say it sounds corny, but I say I was in the ceiling having a party by myself. I don't even know how else to say it, because that's what it felt like. I was like, I knew I was just by myself up there, and it was just amazing. It was the best feeling I've ever felt times a million. So up there, this perfect peace, and I'm just looking down from above, and I can see, so volunteer fire department, they've come like onesie twosies as they showed up, and I'm listening to all their conversations. I'm watching everything from above. The guy that I've been working with, like I said, I'd known since I was young. He's on his knees. I'm looking down like this at an angle like this to the front of the truck, and the hood is shut, and I can see my body, but I was so disconnected from the accident scene that I didn't even know that was me. It was just like I was just watching a movie. So I'm watching, and I can see this guy underneath the truck, and this other guy, Leonard, and he's on his knees above me, and he's running his fingers, turned out to be through my hair, but I didn't know at the time, through this person's hair that I'm watching from above, and he's crying, and he's saying stuff like this: I should be the one that's dead, not you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm such a fool. Because he had jacked up the truck, because he had not used the safety equipment, he felt guilty. He's saying all that stuff, but I'm up here in the ceiling in perfect peace, and I could care less. I wasn't sad. I didn't feel bad. It was like, it's so weird. I was completely divorced from the emotion of what was going on down there, is the only way I can say it. And so I'm just up here in perfect peace watching that, but it didn't even seem like watching a sad movie or something like that. It just seemed like whatever. So I'm just watching it, and these people are all standing around talking, the volunteer fire department, and they've called MedFlight. They knew there's no local hospital that could do anything for me. So they're all just standing around, but they're not going to do CPR. I don't know if I already said it or not, but at the point that my heart stopped, obviously I go up there, I've got no more heartbeat, no more pulse. So depending on which one of those people, the volunteer fire department, their stories varied. 6 to 10 minutes. No heartbeat, no pulse. So my spirit is up here. No heartbeat, no pulse in that flesh bag down there. And Leonard is above, and he's running his fingers through what turned out to be my hair. He's crying. But the reason why they didn't do CPR was because I have a massive chest injury, right? So they're not going to be pushing on and I did have some broken ribs and stuff, so that was a good call, right? They're not going to do CPR. So at this point, when I passed, they called 911. I'm sorry, they called MedFlight, and they're like, well, there's nothing else we can do. So they're just respectfully all kind of standing around. I'm watching it all happen from above. I'm looking down, I'm listening to Leonard, and on each side of Leonard is like 6'1", 6'2". He's on his knees, and on each side of Leonard was an angel, also on their knees, but their heads are like guesstimating a couple feet taller approximately than Leonard. So based off of a 6 foot tall Leonard, I'm saying these angels are approximately 8 feet tall. I've read the Bible now looked up every time that mentions angels. Angels are mentioned in the Bible like 290 sometimes from the beginning to the end. And a couple times it mentions they've got these white shining robes. It mentions that in the Bible. That's exactly what I saw. They had white robes that were like emanating light. Sometimes in the Bible, the angels have wings. Sometimes they don't. These angels didn't have wings. Just like 8 feet tall men, very muscular, with big broad shoulders, narrow waist. There was a belt on their robe. They had really long hair. I mean, sometimes I talk to church people who, get weird about guys with long hair. And it's like, I think you're going to get really surprised when you get to heaven, because I saw for sure 2 long hair angels that God is running around. And they had really long hair, like went way down. And, the one reaches over from the driver's side, and he puts his hands in the middle of the flat spot. And the one from the passenger side did the same thing. So they both have their hands in the middle of flat spots. So from above, I look down, I go, oh, look, those angels are down there to help that guy. That's nice. It didn't, it's so weird. It didn't even seem like a big deal. It just seemed like normal. Those angels are there to help that guy. So I'm just watching. And like I said, the people from the volunteer fire department are all kind of standing around talking respectfully right there. There's Leonard, there's the angels, but nobody's, nothing's really happening. And then the last 2 people got there. And so 10 people came to the scene of the accident from this volunteer fire department. I'm going to stop here, rabbit trail a little bit. I've spent more than a year in the hospital. We added up the days. And when I got out of the hospital after this accident, I went to that volunteer fire department just to tell them thank you. So it's been, at this point, like 14 months at least, something like that. 15 months, 16 months, whatever it was, from the point of the accident until I go visit them. I go to their once a month little volunteer meeting at this, in the middle of nowhere, in this little, fire department. There's like 30 people there. And this is over a year later. And I was able to go around the room and I picked out 8 of the 10 people out of a group of like 30. I picked out 8 of the 10 people that came to the scene of the accident. Only 2 of those people came to the scene of the accident before my heart stopped. So that means I picked out 6 people that came to the scene of the accident from a group of 30 over a year later, even though I had no heartbeat, no pulse by the time they got there. But the real, I think the most telling thing is that, the 10 people that got there, I could only pick out 8. 2 of them were easy because one was the only woman and the other one was the only gray-haired guy. And the weird thing was, as I was watching from above, everybody else had come in from the main door, just like I had for the 3 days I'd worked there, where I'd taken my truck into the front of the shop. But when these 2 people got there, they came in a back door, which is in the back of the shop, which from my point of view up in the ceiling, looking all the way to the back of the shop, this woman, red-haired lady named Shannon, the gray-haired guy, they came up the driver's side of the truck. She got down between the angels, moved Leonard out of the way. She's feeling for a pulse. But at this volunteer fire department a year later, I said to them, you came in the back door. Everybody else came in the front door. Why did you come in the back door? I mean, it was like just this weird, I don't know, random thing I was wondering about for a year. And they're like, because it had been like over a year, they couldn't even remember it first. And they're like, what? And I said, you guys came in the back door. Everyone else came in the front door. And they're like looking at each other. And then it was just this simple reason. They had missed the first driveway. There was a secondary gravel driveway. They saw the flashing lights and they just came up the back of the shop instead of the front. I mean, it was a little, very simple, simplistic reason. But the big thing is, I think, is I was able to tell them they came in that door. And at this point, I already had no heartbeat, no pulse for minutes. So she comes in. She gets down between the angels. She's feeling for a pulse, so I'm watching from above. And in the passenger's front corner, which would be as I'm looking down to my left, was a big guy in farmer bibs. He had his arms crossed, and a little guy next to him. And he tells her, the big guy says to her, it's too late, he's passed. She ignores him. She's frantically feeling for a pulse. And he says it again, it's too late, he's passed. She says, what's his name? And I'm looking from above, and the mechanic that I've been working with over here on the right now, he says Bruce Vanetta, and the lady starts saying, slapping that guy down there in the face, and she's saying, Bruce Vanetta, come back, come back. And the only way I can describe it, I didn't know it was my name. I didn't go, oh, that's me. It just was like, it seemed somewhat familiar is the only way I can describe it. I wouldn't have said that's my name at all. Somehow it sounded familiar. And she just kept saying, Bruce Vanetta, come back, and slapping that guy in the face. And my spirit started creeping down out of the ceiling. And it seemed like when I got about half the distance between the ceiling to the ground, when I got about halfway, it went really fast. My spirit seemed to come in through the top of my head, like the top of my body, came in as what it felt like through the top. My heart, instantaneously, my heart starts pounding, my eyes pop open, and I go from feeling the best I've ever felt in my life to now feeling the worst I've ever felt in my life. And it dawns on me that I'm the guy under the truck that I've been watching. And I was like, as soon as my spirit comes back in and this horrible pain comes, my heart starts, I just said, oh, 4-letter word that means fertilizer. Blank, I'm the guy under the truck, and it's me. It's me. And it hurt so bad. And I was like, it was kind of like, it's weird. It's kind of like watching like when little kids try to make cartoons with index cards and they flip them and it makes the picture move as they somehow was like watching that in my mind. And I saw the truck fall on me, and it's like, oh crap, I'm the guy that's on it. Oh, it's me. And it hurt so bad. And I was like, oh, it hurts so bad. I don't want this. I don't want this. It hurts too bad. And that's all I kept thinking. It hurts too bad. I don't want this. My heart stopped. My spirit left my body. I went back in the roof of the garage again, 15, 16, whatever it was, feet, whatever I was at the roof of the garage. Now I look down and I know that I'm the guy in the truck. I see these 2 angels on each side of my body. I'm looking at them. But this time, a tunnel opened up going out of the roof of the garage, like at a 45-degree angle on this side. And it was like 1,000,000 miles long. There was a bright light on the end. And I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew that it was heaven on the end of the tunnel and Jesus was there waiting for me. And I got in the tunnel and I started going towards a bright light. I was excited, happy to go to heaven. I knew that that's where I was going, and it was going to meet Jesus. I felt like I was about halfway there, and I start hearing this. Bruce, gonna come back. I got stopped. I got sucked backwards out of the tunnel. Now I'm looking down from above. I can see the angels. I can see the lady, Shannon, slapping me in the face. Now I know it's me. And my spirit comes back into my body. And when it comes back into my body, again, the horrible pain comes back. And I looked to my left and I looked to my right for the angels that I just seen twice from above. And I couldn't see them with my earth eyes. And it really scared me because it hurt so bad. I'm thinking, okay, God, why would you take the angels when I need them so bad? Because it hurts so bad. I think I'm dying. Why would you take them away? It doesn't make, bring them back. I need those angels. And I couldn't see them with my eyes, and it was scary to me. And I remember closing my eyes, and the pain was just so overwhelming. And it was in the middle of that overwhelming pain and chaos, because at this point, I had been under there, no heartbeat, no pulse for however many minutes. I didn't tell you about it, but I didn't say, but Shannon, she was 38 the day of the accident. I was 36, but she had been believing in Jesus for 2 months. And somebody told her to go home and read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 Gospels that talk the most about Jesus in the Bible. So for 2 months, this lady has been reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John at home, watching her kids. She showed up to see an accident. She literally prayed me back to life 3 times. So when I'm back in my body and I look for the angels and I can't see them, and I don't know at this point that, I don't know that she's praying. All I could hear her say, Bruce, gonna come back. But I closed my eyes, and it was just this horrible pain. I was thinking, I don't want this. And it was in that confusion because she had prayed me back. Before she prayed me back, all those people were just standing around like quietly talking. But once she prayed me back, they're all running around frantic, like they don't know what to do because they're all freaked out. And so things get pretty chaotic when my eyes pop open, my heart starts, and it was like I closed my eyes, and that's when I heard God speak to me. And it was this, the Bible calls it a still small whisper, and I guess that's probably the best way I could describe it. It wasn't loud. The first thing that struck me, it was very calm. That's the first thing that struck me. It was just this voice was very, very calm. Everybody else was freaking out, including me, but this voice was very calm, and it simply said this: if you want to live, you're going to have to fight, and it's going to be a hard fight. And it was like, I thought about it for like 2.2 seconds. I said, screw it. I don't want to live because I don't want to fight because it hurts too bad. My heart stopped. My spirit left my body. I went up the roof of the garage the 3rd time. The tunnel opened up. I could see it. I was happy to go to heaven. I got in the tunnel. I started going to meet Jesus again. Again, I felt like I was halfway there. And again, I hear this: Bruce, trying to come back. I get sucked back out of the tunnel the 2nd time. I look down. I could see the angels that I just couldn't see with my earth eyes. There they are. In the spirit, I could see them. My spirit comes back into my body. And when it does this time, again, my heart miraculously starts. Shannon's face was right here. I was still on the creeper. Her face was right about here to me. And I got my head kind of like this, and she's got her face like really close right there. And she says to me, Mister, you're on the verge of life and death. What do you have to live for? And right there on that spot, it wasn't later, it wasn't like in retrospect, but right there in that moment, I knew that it was God, that it just told me if I wanted to live, I was going to have to fight. It was going to be a hard fight. I knew that same Holy Spirit, God, whatever, because I'd heard that in my head. I don't know, it's the best way I can say it. My spirit, whatever. But when she says, Mister, you're on the verge of life and death, what do you have to fight for? Do you have a wife and kids? I knew somehow that even though it was her voice, I knew it was God talking through her to remind me about Lori and my 4 little kids. So we had 4 children. We had identical twin boys in the middle. So we had 4 kids in 3 years, or 3.5 years, whatever, because of the twins in the middle. So they were really little at the time of the accident, like kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, something like that. And I remember she says, Mister, you're on the verge of life and death. What do you have to fight for? Do you have a wife? Do you have kids? Up until that moment, the pain, everything was so crazy. I had not thought about Lori. I hadn't thought about the kids, nothing. It was just over, like just this horrendous pain is all. It's like, that was everything. And then she says that, and it's like, oh my gosh, my wife needs me. My kids need me. I can't leave, because I knew every time my spirit was going up there, I was leaving. I was dying. I was going to heaven, and I was happy to go. But then God brings up through her, what about your wife and kids, basically. So then she says, don't close your eyes, stay here and fight. So I remember thinking, lady, you're right, because every time I close my eyes, I'm going up there. So I fought to keep my eyes open. They ended up, med flight came, med flight left. Then they called an ambulance to take the body, me, and they took me to a little small hospital like half an hour away. The helicopter came back, picked me up there. I was only there like 10 minutes, picked me up there and took me to our state's biggest trauma center here in our state, which is like 2.5 hours away by car. And they operated on me. The 2 night shift doctors operated on me, and then the head of the trauma department got called in from home, and he rushed to the hospital to finish the surgery. And after he got done working on me they worked on me for hours. My wife is down there now, and she'd gone with some people from church and stuff, and so she's there, and the doctor comes out and he said, in all his years of running the trauma department, he'd never seen a body so badly traumatized and the person still make it to the hospital alive. And that's when he said, your husband, he says to Lori, your husband must have one hell of a will to fight, but I don't expect him to live through the hour because he's too hurt. So one of the guys, Jim, one of the guys that Lori took with her from church, said, hey, if the doctor said that he's not going to live for an hour, let's tell God thank you for every 30 minutes of life. So that's what they did all night, I guess, is told God every 30 minutes of his life, told God thank you for 30 more minutes of life all night long. The doctor comes back to work the next morning, shocked.
Abused while in a juvenile detention facility, you could be entitled to $580,000 or more in compensation. Over $4 billion has already been paid to survivors. In most states, you can file your claim anonymously, no public exposure, and no physical proof required. Signing up is free and confidential. Click the link below to find out if you qualify, because you deserve to be heard and you deserve to heal.
I just got paid $62,000 for my car accident using nothing but this app on my phone. I don't know if you can see this clearly, but it's called the Free Case Evil Smart Quiz. And yep, this check is for $62,000, and I'm literally on my way to cash it.
If you've never heard of Free Case Evals, it's quickly becoming one of the largest legal help platforms in the country for car crash victims. They built this tool that's already helped over 140,000 people get life-changing settlement checks, all from just answering a few questions. Here's how it works. The app asks 4 simple questions about your accident. Then it compares your case to millions of others. In seconds, it tells you whether you qualify for a big cash payout. I first found out about this from a guy named Raymond about 3 years ago. Raymond got hit hard in a bad crash. He lost his car, was dealing with serious pain, and the insurance company refused to pay him anything. So he posted a video that went viral, sharing how he used this exact tool and got a $125,000 payout in just a few months. Then it happened to me. I was stopped at a red light when some distracted driver slammed into the back of my car. I messed up my back, my car was totaled, and worst of all, I lost my job because I had no way to get to work. Luckily, I remembered Raymond's video. I clicked the same link he used, answered the 4 questions, and boom, it said I qualified. Fast forward just 60 days, and I had this check in my hands. It helped me replace my income, pay off debt, and get a new ride. Then I shared this tool on my own social media, and my friend Jasmine used it. She ended up getting $147,000. I also told my buddy Eli, who'd been in a wreck the week before. He was skeptical, but he gave it a shot and got $178,000. What I love most is how beginner-friendly it is. You don't need to know anything about the law. Just click the link, answer 4 questions, and in seconds it tells you what you might qualify for. And if your case qualifies, you get connected to a Free Case Eval specialist who handles everything. No fees up front, no court dates, no stress. A few years ago, I had no idea what to do after a car accident. I probably would have just hired some random attorney and hoped for the best. And we all know how that usually goes, but now I know better, and I'm glad I saw Raymond's video when I did. Jasmine is terrible with tech, and even she ended up getting a 6-figure payout. Eli? He was offered just $6,000 by insurance, but ended up walking away with $178,000. That's $172,000 more without ever talking to the insurance company again. So yeah, this is for anyone who's been injured in a car accident. Just click the link below, answer 4 quick questions, and see if your case qualifies for a major settlement, just like I did. If you qualify, the team at Free Case Evals handles everything for you. You don't pay a dime unless you win. Thousands of people, like me, Raymond, Jasmine, and Eli, have already used this and gotten huge payouts. Imagine that moment when you check your account and see tens of thousands hit it out of nowhere. That's the power of this tool, so don't wait. Click the link, answer 4 questions, and see how much your accident might be worth. And please, share this with your friends and family who've been injured too. They deserve to get paid what they're owed. Free case evals. Click the link below and find out what your car accident is worth in 30 seconds or less.
Shocked to find I'm still alive. My wife knew that the doctor said I had all kinds of operations that needed to be done. All they did was did some general stuff at the beginning, but he said he's going to need a lot of operations. So my wife says to him when he comes and he's shocked to find me alive, are you going to go back in and start doing those other operations? And he says, he told her, I don't think his body won't tolerate it. He'll die on the operating table. So they waited another 3 or 4 hours. My wife talked to him again. He came and checked on me again. My wife said, look, we've prayed. Go ahead and do it. We've turned him over to God. We believe, God's going to take care of him. So they operated me on and off. They kept me in induced coma. They operated me on and off for a long time, a lot. But when they went to take me out of my induced coma the very first time, I still had the breathing tube in, and I didn't know why I couldn't talk because, I'm all whacked and I don't realize there's a tube in my mouth. I'm trying to talk, and all I wanted to say was angels. That's what I wanted to tell them. It was my wife and my brother, Luke, were there that day. And when they took me out of the coma, and I just want to tell them that I saw these angels. And it was so crazy because when I was above in the spirit looking down, it didn't seem like a big deal. It seemed like normal. But when I came to, I'm alive in the hospital I came to, and all I could think about was seeing those two huge angels and how they're glowing and stuff. And that's all I wanted to, that's the first thing I wanted to tell people. So then I realized I can't talk. So I motioned for something to write with, and they gave me something to write with. And I was just going to write the word angel. I couldn't write. I couldn't make the A come out of my brain to my finger. It took me 6 months before I could read or write again. So either way, I got mad. I threw the pen or pencil, whatever it was. They tried. I couldn't breathe. They tried taking me out of the coma. My lungs weren't strong enough, so they had to re-intubate me, which is really scary. But when they did finally take me off of the breathing machine, and I was able to talk for the first time, it's been a long time. The very, very, very first thing I said was, I saw these two huge angels. God sent two monster angels to save me. It was so shocking and surprising to me. And I just wanted to tell everybody. And it's kind of what it's been for the last 18 years, is me telling this story. I hate to use the word story because it could insinuate that it's made up or embellished. It's not. The testimony is probably the better word because it's not. I'm not making anything up. I'm not embellishing anything. This is what happened. The truck fell me. I got squished in half. I died. This lady shows up, a stranger, prays me back to life 3 times. God sends 2 angels. Then God sent a guy from New York who prayed for me in the hospital. Just thing after thing after thing after thing happened. Doctors didn't expect me to live. They said I was going to live 6 months to a year. They removed most of my intestines. I only have this little small piece of intestine left, not enough to live on. I'm being fed intravenously. I lose 65 pounds from the point of the accident until March of 07. So however many months that is, 5 months or whatever it was, I lose 65 pounds. I'm literally dying. Getting a big fight with one of the doctors because I wanted to let me go home. And they're like, she admits you're never going home. You're going to die here in the next 6 weeks. We can only keep you alive 6 months a year. So that's when God sent this guy from across the United States, woke him up 2 mornings early, told him to pray for me in the hospital. He did. The second morning when God woke him up, he bought the ticket and flew from New York and prayed for me. And when he did, instantaneously, right on the spot, I felt the power of God come out of his palm into my body, into my intestines. And when doctors tested it later, they said I have half my intestine now. So they say ballpark, 18 to 20 some feet length of small intestine, average for average person. So I had less than 3 feet, 2 feet something. After the accident, Peace died. They had to remove a little more in March. This guy shows up and prays for me, and I have now, doctors say, at least half my intestine, so at least 9 to 11 feet of intestine. They can't say for sure because they say the word they used was the small intestine is too circuitous. Layman's terms, it's a ball of worms right below your belly button, and because it's a ball of worms twisting upon itself, they can't measure it accurately. They can guesstimate. So guesstimation within they're accurate within a certain amount. They're guesstimating I have at least half. So God literally gave me back, 9, 10, 11 feet of intestine.
This part of your story I find so interesting. It's this man, Bruce Carlson, is that correct?
Yep.
Who you say God woke him up in New York. Did you know this guy?
I had met him the year before.
Okay. So he just woke up and had this kind of message, this epiphany that he needed to pray for you.
Well, first he said he hates to get up early, and he was woken up at 5 a.m. 2 mornings in a row, exactly at 5 a.m. And he felt like he was woken up, like he didn't wake up, but he was woken up, and said, buy a plane ticket. Something told him, buy a plane ticket, fly to Wisconsin, pray for that guy. And he told his wife, and he worked at a church, and he told the pastor of that church. They told him both that day, but he didn't do it. And then the next morning, God woke him up again at 5 a.m. and told him. And then that day he bought the ticket, and he came shortly after.
That's incredible.